Good evening. This is the regularly scheduled February 8th meeting of the Geneva Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm John Mead, Vice Chairman of the Commission, filling in for Chairman Scott Stocking. Tonight, for the benefit of those in attendance, I'm joined by Commissioner Rebecca Holloman, Commissioner Mim Evans, Commissioner Tim Moran, Commissioner Adam Mataskill, who is joining us remotely, Community Development Director David DeGroot, City Attorney Scott Finson, City Planner Matt Busing, and Assistant Planner Jesse Muncy. Planning and Zoning Commission meetings air live on Geneva Broadcast Network, which can be viewed on Comcast Channel 10, AT&T UVerse Channel 99, MetroNet Channel 93, and the city's YouTube channel. This evening, the Commission will host a public hearing for agenda items 5A and B. As the chairman of tonight's meeting, I will guide the public, applicant, and the Commission through our public hearing process, which is outlined on the back of the meeting agenda. Please see this page for further details. The Commission will open the public hearing, and the applicant will provide an opening statement and brief overview of their requests. Commission members will first have the opportunity to ask questions and make comments. This will be followed by public comment and testimony regarding the requests. Audience members will be called on and given an opportunity to comment. We ask that you state your name and address when it is your turn to speak.
The broadcast is now starting.
If your
All attendees are
If
in
your
listen
comment
only mode.
has already been made or your question has already been asked, it is not necessary to repeat it. We remind members of the public to refrain from veering off topic and direct comments that are relevant to the request being considered. Following the end of the public testimony, the applicant will have an opportunity to provide a closing statement and answer questions or respond to any of the comments made from the members of the public. Additional questions or comments may be stated by the Commission, but public comment will not be reopened. The public hearing may then be closed, followed by Commissioner deliberation on the separate requests. Any person speaking during the public hearing agree and understand that anything they say will be considered sworn testimony and affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. In order to help with the quality of the meeting broadcast, I would remind all commissioners to mute themselves except when they are addressing the Commission. Commissioners are also encouraged to state their name prior to speaking and prior to providing a roll call vote to better assist our record keepers. For example, Mead, aye, nay, or abstain. Anna, would you please call the roll?
Mead.
Mead here.
Evans. Evans here. Slipka. Holloman. Holloman here. Mataskill.
Mataskill here.
Moran.
Moran here.
Stocking.
Okay, we have a quorum, so we will proceed. The next item on the agenda would be an approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion or a comment?
Move to approve, Evans?
Second, Moran.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, it's approved. Next item on the agenda is item 4, approval of the minutes of the January 25th, 2024 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
Moran, move to approve.
Holloman, second.
Mataskill, second.
Okay,
Sorry.
moved and seconded. All those approve? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimously approved. Next item on the agenda is the public hearing. At this time, I would like to swear in anybody that will be speaking tonight. So if you sign the sheet when you came in, or if you'll be presenting tonight, if you'd please stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that anything you say tonight will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the first item is on the public hearings is item 5A, 946 Sunset Road variation. This is a request for a variation from section 11-5B-4, lot and area requirements, to increase the permitted total lot coverage from 30% to 35.72% to accommodate a 1,000 square foot addition to the rear of the house. The applicant is Jennifer Tursich, okay? And the location is 946 Sunset Road in Geneva. Matt, do you have anything to read into the record?
Yeah. All right, so the contents of this file include an application for a variation filed by Jennifer Tursich, dated December 27th, 2023. It includes the following items: project narrative, a response to the variation standards, a plata survey, existing and concept floor plans, supporting photos, a list of property owners within 500 feet of the subject property, an affidavit attesting to the accuracy of the list of property owners within 500 feet of the subject property, a copy of the letter to all property owners within 500 feet, providing notice of the application being filed, a certificate of publication from the Daily Herald for the legal notice that was published on January 24th, 2024 for tonight's public hearing, a copy of the public hearing notice mailed to all property owners within 500 feet, and a staff report from the Community Development Department to the Planning and Zoning Commission dated February 8th, 2024.
Thank you, Matt. At this time, we'll allow the applicant to present the item.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Todd Wallace. I'm an attorney with Huck Boma in Wheaton, and I'm here representing Jennifer and J.P. Tursich, who are also here. They weren't sworn in, but if you require any testimony from them, they're available for that.
All right.
We have a fairly straightforward application here. The Tursiches have lived in Geneva for a long time. They've raised their family here and currently live over on 946 Sunset. One of their children, Luke, has a chromosomal degenerative disorder, and it has become increasingly difficult for him to ambulate around the house. He cannot go upstairs without assistance, and as a result, they are looking to add space to the first floor of their house. Essentially, they have bedrooms upstairs, which is where Luke's bedroom was. They do have a master downstairs, and currently he has been staying in the master bedroom with his mom and dad. What they're looking to do is just to make an addition off of the master bedroom to add a second bedroom so that they will be able to help him with all of his daily activities and to make it a better living situation for Luke. The total lot coverage right now is right about 33%, 33.46%. For a 1,000 square foot addition, and just to note, the architect has given kind of preliminary drawings of what the addition would be, and he's asked for us to do up to 1,000 square feet. We would do the minimal necessary to make sure that we can do an ADA compliant bedroom and bathroom, but that's what we're asking for. So it would take it from 33.46 to 35.72 overall lot coverage. This is in a location where it would not be viewed from the street. It's behind the house. Some photos were included in the packet to show you exactly where it was going to be. It wouldn't have any impact on any other neighbors. We've received comments regarding support of the application from neighbors. Everybody is in support. Everybody knows this family and loves the kids, so they know that they're doing it for the right reasons, for Luke's benefit. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. We put in there our findings of fact. We think that this application meets all of the findings, and we would ask for the commission to recommend approval of the City Council.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners. Adam, I know you're on your remote, so do you have anything at this time?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay. And there's no we don't take public on
No,
that
we do.
anymore. We do?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any public on that?
Oh, you mean online?
Yes.
No one's on.
Okay, all right.
I just had one question.
Sure, Rebecca.
It was just about the currently it's, the property is over the regulation, right? The
Yeah,
ordinance,
right.
which is 30%, and it's 33%. Was that something that was approved earlier? I didn't see where, and maybe this is a question for staff more than.
Yeah, I can talk to it a little bit. So we tried to do a little research on that as well. The best we could do, we kind of pulled up the permits from past years. I believe the house was built around 2013, and then there were a couple permits for a pool area with some kind of patio space as well. From those permits, there was lot coverage calculations included, they were kind of right at the 30% mark. From what I could tell, I'm assuming there are certain items that weren't maybe included at that time that are being included now. So maybe there was just a little, I don't know, miscommunication, or they were added at a later date and weren't included. But they are being included now, which kind of pushes it over that 30% threshold.
Okay.
I think the package stated that there were some things like planters and things that may not have been in the original design that ended up. So there was some lot coverage creep, if I can call it that, above the 30, so.
Yeah, I think it was kind of unintentional additions. There are some semi-pervious things that are on the lot, and they all count into the total pervious
right.
calculation, but we're talking about, flagstone and
Right.
things like that that are in the yard.
Right.
Yeah.
Were the Tersiches the ones who built the house? Okay.
Yes.
Will you use the same contractor? Just curious.
I don't believe so because
If they could come to me.
If you could come up, that'd be.
Come on up. Do you need to swear him in?
And obviously, do you swear that anything you're about to say is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay.
I will try to. The problem is he's like in semi-retirement.
Okay.
So
okay.
I don't know. We know him very well, but he has gotten more into commercial.
Okay.
He's done a lot in the St. Charles downtown district.
Okay.
And he's really left the residential side after,
Right.
the financial
Okay.
issues that they had.
And I think playing off of Commissioner Holloman's point, we had what I called lot coverage creep because we had, the planters or whatever. Wouldn't want to see that. We'd like to see it come in at 35.72, up to 1,000 square feet, not find out that other things have been added. And I think that gets important because it's all about groundwater. You're covering up area, and the groundwater's got to go somewhere. It either goes to your neighbors or it's still self-contained on the site, which is why the city's recommendation for a stormwater application is important, just to make sure that you're not affecting
The city
your
did a
neighbors.
few years ago, put in a storm sewer in our backyard.
Oh, wow, okay.
And again, I've dealt with Bob Van Gelsum on that because all of our neighbors' sump pumps and all that were draining into our yard. So originally, we had a French drain that eventually became decayed because there was so much water. So the city, I worked with the city on that, they put that in, and then they allowed us, so all of the drainage will go into the storm sewer.
Okay.
Hard pipe, basically, underground.
Okay, okay.
So that should not be an issue from a storm sewer standpoint, but
Okay.
as far as
That makes sense. Okay. So that, and just to make sure we keep it at 1,000 or less.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right, thank you.
okay, thank you.
Is there anybody in the audience that would care to speak on this matter at this time? Anything else from the commission?
Move to close the public hearing. Evans?
Moran, second.
Moved and seconded. Anna, would you take the roll?
Mead,
Mead, aye.
Evans,
Evans, aye.
Holloman,
Holloman, aye.
Madaskeel,
Madaskil, aye.
Moran,
Moran, aye.
Any further discussion? Or are we ready for a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd happy to make a motion if there's no further comment.
All right.
Moran would move in accordance with Section 11-14-5 of the Geneva zoning ordinance that the application's request for a variation from Section 11-5B-4 lot and area requirements to increase the permitted total lot coverage from 30% to 35.72% to accommodate a 1,000 square foot addition to the rear of the house be approved, subject to the finding of facts of city staff, particularly number 3, that if approved, the applicants will be required to provide a submittal for the King County Stormwater Ordinance.
Evans, second.
Moved and seconded. Anna?
Mead,
Mead, aye.
Evans,
Evans, aye.
Holloman,
Holloman, aye.
Madaskeel,
Madaskil, aye.
Moran.
Moran, aye.
All right, thank you. Matt?
Okay, so the next step, the next step is going to be the city council meeting. We should be able to schedule that for the February 20th meeting. It's a Tuesday. I'll send you kind of follow-up information after, or tomorrow at some point, so we can make sure that works for you guys.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is item 5B, Fabyan Parkway Industrial Development. This is a request for 1, annexation, 2, comprehensive plan amendment from commercial to industrial, 3, zoning map amendment upon annexation to RR rural residential, from RR rural residential to I-1 light industrial, 4, variation from section 11-7B-4 lot and area requirements to reduce the required street yard parking lot setback from 20 feet to 10 feet, and 5, site plan approval of a 13.42 acre industrial development. The applicant is 1203 Fabyan Parkway LLC, and the general location of the property is near the north of Fabyan Parkway and west of Kirk Road. PIN numbers 12-11-400-013 and 12-14-200-032, 033 and 034. Matt, anything for the record?
All right, so the contents of this file include an application for the annexation, a comprehensive plan amendment, a zoning map amendment, a variation, and a site plan review filed by 1203 Fabyan Parkway LLC, dated October 4, 2022. It includes the following items: the project narrative, a legal description, proof of ownership, petition requesting annexation, the annexation agreement, response to zoning map amendment standards, response to variation standards, response to site plan standards, a plat of survey, plat of annexation, a site plan, a land use opinion application, a Kane County road improvement fee application, stormwater permit application, estimate of probable cost, preliminary engineering plans, architectural elevations, preliminary landscape plan, tree preservation plan, site lighting and photometric plan, a stormwater management report, a fire truck turning movement exhibit, the list of property owners within 500 feet of the subject property, an affidavit attesting to the accuracy of the list of property owners within 500 feet of the subject property, a copy of the letter to all property owners within 500 feet, providing notice of the application being filed, a certificate of publication from the Daily Herald for the legal notice that was published on January 24, 2024 for tonight's public hearing, a copy of the public hearing notice mailed to all property owners within 500 feet, and a staff report from the Community Development Department to the Planning and Zoning Commission dated February 8, 2024.
Thank you, Matt. At this time, the applicant is welcome to come forward and present their application.
Good evening. John, Matt, thank you guys very much for the introduction. My name is Brian Johnson with Pinnacle Engineering Group, and I'll be presenting on behalf of the owner, 1203 Fabyan Parkway LLC. So before you this evening, as John alluded to, currently the site is located right here in this red square, and it's comprised of 13.42 acres. And that acreage has 4 lots currently on it right now, as read by the 4 PIN numbers that were provided. So lot 1 is basically this lot, lot 2 is this sliver here, lot 3, and lot 4. And then the surrounding properties, there's a landfill to the north, there's a landscape company to the west. Obviously, we have Fabyan Parkway to the south. The golf course is, to give you kind of a proximity, is about 800 feet from this corner all the way over to the golf course over here. We have an office building right here, and then, as you guys are aware, there's a new industrial development that's happening on the southwest corner of Fabyan and Kirk as well. Let's see here if I can figure this out. Arrow keys. Sorry.
No, 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 sorry.
So as John mentioned, we're here tonight to talk about the annexation of the 4 parcels, the comprehensive plan amendment from commercial to industrial, the zoning map amendment from rural residential to light industrial, and then a deviation or variation from the front yard setback from 20 feet to 10 feet, and I'll get into that a little bit later, and then obviously site plan approval. So, a quick summary, 13.42 acres comprised of the 4 parcels. Right now the property's in unincorporated Kane County, and we'll be looking to annex that into the city of Geneva. The proposed development includes a 36-foot clear, 156,000 square foot building with 32 truck docks, 157 parking stalls, and 44 trailer positions at the rear of the property. We'll be proposing some significant landscaping along the property lines, especially along the southern property line. That's what faces Fabyan Parkway, to provide a lot of screening from the public right-of-way. And then in addition to this, as you guys know, Fabyan is currently under control with Kane County Department of Transportation. So there's been significant work done in conjunction with them to provide one singular right-in, right-out access, as well as a deceleration lane into the site for vehicle movement. This is some of the current surrounding zoning and uses. So right now, again, our site's there in the middle in red. There's unincorporated properties to the north and to the west, and then there's ORI zoning to the east, and then light industrial to the south in Batavia. So as we start this process, to kind of give you a glimpse of what's out there right now, there's some existing tree lines along the western and northern property lines, a little bit here in the southeast corner. We went out and did a tree survey. We're going to try to keep as many of those trees as possible. Some of those older trees provide a lot of natural screening. There are no wetlands on the property, and there's no existing floodplain either. As you guys recall, Fabyan was recently improved down here, and part of that improvement, Kane County DOT did take a small sliver of the property and create a stormwater pond in the southwest corner. So currently, this is the current site plan. The one vehicle access is down here in the southwest corner. This is a right-in, right-out into the property. As part of that access, what I alluded to earlier is the deceleration lane right here on Fabyan into the site. The western part of the site is going to be your stormwater management pond. It's going to have native vegetations for best management practices and infiltration, and then provide all the stormwater requirements as necessary by King County. And then here's your development. You'll have car parking around it, and in the rear you're going to have docks and then trailer positions in the very back. So, why we are requesting a deviation from 20 feet to 10 feet in the front yard setback is because in coordination with Kane County Department of Transportation and their extremely long-term planning, they couldn't give me a date, they foresee Fabyan getting widened at some point. It probably won't be in my lifetime, but they have requested that we dedicate 40 feet of our frontage to Kane County Division of Transportation. So essentially the right-of-way, which is currently this bottom line, is going to now get moved up here. So that's obviously for future expansion and future road improvements and whatever else they need to provide as part of the improvements to Fabyan Parkway. Our deviation would request that this 10 foot remain 10 foot instead of the ordinance says 20 feet. And right now, and for really all the near future, our front curb here is going to be 50 feet off of the property line. And then as part of this, we have some significant landscaping in through here. So that's why, we requested the variance as a result of that hardship. The singular point of access is here. We're going to create and reconstruct the new walking path that is that runs parallel to the road improvements. And then we'll also, in conjunction with appeasing KDOT, is extend the barrier median through our intersection improvements. Landscaping. So, alluded to that earlier. We're going to be adding, with this project, 118 trees. There's significant groupings along Fabyan, and a lot of that's for screening. Some of these areas that look bare, you can't see in this picture, but especially back here, those are all existing trees that are going to remain. So we're going to add additional tree coverage and foliage in and around those trees to help, obviously, provide the screening, natural screening. And then also along the berm here that's adjacent to the stormwater pond, and then obviously in and, excuse me, in and around the trailer parking in the rear to help hide those trailers as well. From really a traffic standpoint, we have the deceleration lane. Right now there's projected with the warehouse use 143 cars coming and going. So that's about 286 trips per day. To kind of give you an idea, right now the building's speculative. It could be manufacturing, it could be warehouse. Most likely it'll be warehouse, but we don't know until we have a tenant in hand. So that pretty much wraps up my presentation and introduction to the project. I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys have or anything else like that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Commissioners. Commissioner Evans.
Thank you for the presentation. I have a few questions. The first concerns the right-in, right-out, and this might be more for staff than for the applicant. There was originally thoughts of commercial on the property. Can you discuss a little bit the fact that there is only right-in, right-out? Is that all we could possibly ever get on that site, and what is the impact on commercial development then?
Yeah. So, from our understanding, it sounds like KDOT is requiring only a right-in, right-out access to that site. That's something, obviously, Fabyan Parkway is under their jurisdiction, so that is their requirement to impose. But, I think from our perspective, too, it probably better suits an industrial development as opposed to a commercial development, as it would make access to the site and exiting from the site a little more difficult. Probably not best suited for something like a commercial center where people are trying to access it from either direction.
So refresh my memory what's going on with the landfill behind, to the north of the site?
So I believe directly north, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's a cross-country course right now.
Yeah, is that all it's ever going to be?
I don't know about future plans for it.
There was the 2012 Settlers Hill master plan, but that really hasn't been repealed or updated since then, and that included a variety of other uses that really aren't being pursued anymore, is my understanding. So the current uses, I'm not aware of any future uses being planned at the moment.
So this development of this site won't have any impact on the potential development of that site, most likely?
To my knowledge.
Okay. My other concern is because, and I'm just throwing this out for discussion, because this is a speculative building and it is a change to the comprehensive plan, it is an annexation, a zoning change. It's my understanding that warehouse space, based on the most recent Chicago suburban data, absorption has slowed and the supply that's available is growing.
Mm-hmm.
Are you concerned about the speculative nature of this project, and do we have any concern about whether or not this is ultimately the highest and best use of the site, should it not lease up.
Tom, do you want to address that? I can tell you my experiences with it. We probably develop and design 3 to 4 million square feet a year. For majority of our developers, and these are nationwide guys, the issue isn't so much the inventory, it's the able to borrow money. And right now, it's extremely difficult to borrow money. There's a ton of projects that are teed up and ready to go if there is financing involved. So there's certainly still very, very historical low vacancy rates. And I think there's still very much a need for warehouse and industrial development. It's just the opportunities to do it right now versus the banks willing to lend money at certain interest rates. A lot of the projects don't seem to pencil quite yet.
But there is more space sitting available than there was a year ago, so that lack of ability to build the spaces isn't really
Right,
address
and there's
the
so many
question.
different characteristics that go into that. It's square footage, right? It's use, it's location, so there's a lot of that. I mean, just with this site down here getting developed, I don't think they would have probably spent all that money in a very similar location if there wasn't a need for warehouse space in this area.
Thank you.
Commissioner Moran.
I had the same questions as Commissioner Evans. I don't really have a concern with the zoning here. This site is already industrial and everything but name. Even the office building next to it, when it was constructed and for many years, was the waste management laboratory for the landfill, which was basically an industrial use. I think whatever they had in mind under the comprehensive plan for commercial use has simply been overtaken by the big development directly south in Batavia, by the mulch storage yard to the west, the landfill directly behind it. I do, as I said, share the absorption issue, but viability is not really our domain here. I did have a question about the 44 trailer parking stalls, and I want to clarify that whether this is manufacturing or distribution, this is not intended to be a trailer storage facility.
No.
Those trucks will be stored only for the amount of time it takes to empty them and get them back on the road.
Correct.
And again, with Commissioner Evans, the right in, right out, if that's a deal breaker for me, that would be the only way I would approve this, is if it's kept a right in and right out onto Fabyan. I don't want to see a left-hand turn coming into this facility.
Like Matt alluded to earlier, we've had extensive conversations with KDOT, and only one singular point of access will be approved, and it will be at right in, right out.
Thank you.
Commissioner Holloman.
Just a question sort of along the same lines with the parking. If it's right in, right out, I'm assuming that most of the trucks are, that artery to 88, or that's kind of what.
Yep.
So how are they getting all the way back out
So
to,
that is a great question. So,
without going through a neighborhood?
they're gonna wanna get
or-
over to Kirk as quick as possible. So most likely, and I don't know if my original slide, it kinda shows it. They're gonna most likely go down to Kingsland here, over to Douglas, and at Douglas, there's a light on Kirk, and you can go north or south. So this is an industrial district, so they're gonna wanna go right, left, light, and then they can pick back.
And then all those roads are approved for the weight of,
It's currently
like,
an industrial
industrial?
yard.
Okay.
yeah. So it's all similar uses, so it's all still heavy trucks. What we don't want is just them to continue to go farther to the west. So I think everybody wants to get over to Kurt as quick as possible.
okay. And then if you go a little further down towards like the golf course, there's a light,
Down like over
Dan?
there.
yeah, like a little further west. Was it ever thought about to kind of make that more, I don't think it's really a road in, right? It just goes to the golf course? Is it, because there's a light right there?
You know what? Do I have that? I know exactly what you're talking about. It's just on,
I know you said that
It's
part
right
of
here.
that golf course kind of butts up against.
right here, this road.
Yeah, and was there ever a thought to make that another entryway, like some kind of another entryway, so you could actually take a left in and,
We have not pursued that, I can tell you that, honestly. And the reason why is there's no direct connection from this road to the property.
right, okay, that's what I was wondering, like, if there was a,
For some
space that
reason, if
wasn't.
you had contiguous access, like if this
Yeah.
parcel was involved, then certainly we would look at putting an access point here, which would make a lot of sense as well.
Okay, and, I had another question. I'll think of it if anybody else has a question.
All right. Commissioner Madaskil, do you have anything?
You know what, it looks like most of the commissioners actually covered the points that I was going to bring up, so I'm good, thank you.
All right, thank you. I had a couple things. And I understand the right in, right out, not only from potential conflict that close to Kirk Road, but there's also a raised median through the front of your property, so no one can cross that coming in or going out. Coming from the east, there is a deceleration lane that kind of tapers off and ends at the entrance to that office building.
Right here?
Yep.
Yep.
And so I was wondering, is that going to taper off? You enter in there, and then they're going to dip back out and create one for your property. It might make more sense just to have a lane that runs along there for both of those properties, that rather than having the in and out, that
We
might be.
can certainly discuss that with KDOT and see if that's
I
an
mean, it'd be a
option.
little more expensive because you'll have to improve a little more road, but having one continuous deceleration or turn road for those two properties might make more sense in your conversations with them.
Yeah, I would agree. I think if there's enough right-of-way there for that to happen, I think
Right.
that's certainly a discussion we'd be happy to have with
I
KDOT.
mean, you'd have to redo their entrance, kind of, but it might make sense.
But from a regional standpoint, it makes a lot of sense.
Right. And then secondly, I know there's 2 points of access through the curb today for the combined 4 parcels. And I know you're going to get one just because of KDOT managing traffic flow in and out of properties that close to Kirk. I'm wondering, though, from an emergency standpoint, if something was happening at your property and an emergency vehicle could not get in your only entrance, I'm wondering if it's worth talking to KDOT about on the easterly most, if you could put the site plan back up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right there. So the bottom right corner,
Right here?
potentially there could be an extension of that to Fabyan, but it might be chained off or something like that. But if something happened and there was a fire or there was something going on in the southwest corner and the emergency vehicles had to enter the property, they could still get through. It might just be an emergency. It's not going to cost a heck of a lot. It's just going to be some pavement and some way of controlling ingress and egress because KDOT does not want that used. But in a big building like that, we don't know what's going on in it yet. If there was an emergency, it would be nice to know that they could get to the back.
There's a second point of access.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
that's probably
and-
worth exploring. I don't know that changes the outcome here tonight, but I thought it worth bringing up. I have a couple questions, and I'm just, this is a speculative building, and I understand industrial fairly well. The users of industrial want to see it before they rent it. Can I understand a little bit about the ownership?
Absolutely.
And how much experience they have, because you're going to, and who's going to lease the property, because that's important. You're going to have an empty building when you're done, most likely.
Mhm.
And then somebody's going to go lease it. Are you hiring a national firm, or is there leasing capability within the ownership, or how's that going to occur? And tell us a little bit about the resume or of the owner and what other properties they might have owned or developed.
Okay, I'll turn it over to Tom.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tomasz Rędzian. I'm one of the owners of the property. Currently, we have 40 different properties in our portfolio.
40?
14.
14, okay.
Yes, we have property in Los Angeles, Phoenix, Arizona. We just bought land in Fort Worth, Texas. We own property in Largo, Florida. We built and sold recently building 39,000 square feet building in Schaumburg.
Okay.
We own Bo Jackson Dome, sports dome facility.
Okay.
We're leasing that to the sports group there. We, like I said, this is Franklin Park. We bought and demolished Dean Foods facility, and we're planning to put the 100,000 square feet building there. We're just waiting for some approvals. And we have been doing that for, I would say, 15 years, and we're being successful with, and we continue to do it. We invest our own money, so we're not borrowing money from banks. We put it our own money, and we're pretty confident that we're gonna lease that building.
So you will not have a construction loan for this?
No.
Okay, okay. All right. Leasing? Do you hire that expertise out, or do you have leasing agents?
We have one of our partners. It's our agent, and he said that there is still need for those kind of buildings right now, and that depends, how much people want to pay,
Right.
location, size, etc. So.
And he also works for a national brokerage.
Exactly.
Okay. Who's that? Who does he work for?
Lee and Associate.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Absolutely.
So just to remind everybody, we have the elements that we need to look at in deciding the items that are before us. And so I'd like to give a little bit of flexibility here, but whether or not the site, we hope it's obviously successful, but whether or not it's successful and its economic viability isn't germane, and actually who the ownership is isn't germane, despite some of the requirements that the federal government has for disclosing whose everybody's ownership is now. But just so we just keep that, and so as you make your considerations, your deliberations tonight, we've had a little conversation about this, but remember that those are not factors to consider.
Understood. And I, like Commissioner Moran, I think that industrial is probably the highest and best use, considering what we know about this site and the access issues. I also think that 156,000 is a lot smaller than what else we've got in the market, so that will be attractive to a different tenant profile, probably. So that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Moran.
I just had one more question, at the risk of aggravating City Council. Is this going to be marketed for a single tenant or multiple tenants?
Single tenant at first.
Single tenant. Thank you.
For the record, that would not aggravate me, because that goes to the use.
All right, any other comments from the commissioners? Okay, anyone in the audience care to make a statement at this time or ask a question? Okay. Adam has said we covered his questions. Anything else?
No. Move to close the public hearing. Evans?
Moran, second.
Maniscalco. Oops, sorry.
Okay, moved and seconded. Anna?
Mead,
Mead, aye.
Evans,
Evans, aye.
Holloman,
Holloman, aye.
Madaskil,
Maniscalco, aye.
Moran.
Moran, aye.
Okay, any further discussion now that the public hearing is closed?
And Chairman, just a quick point that was raised. In the staff report, we noted in two sections, we referenced the zoning ordinance, and there was a typo where it says section 11-4 in two locations. It should be section 11-14 in reference to, I believe it's both the variation standards and one other section of standards.
Site plan.
Site plan
Site
standards.
plan.
So just
Do we need to formally adjust that by making a motion that anywhere it says 11-4 in the staff report, it should be deemed to say 11-14?
I don't believe so, but I think the motion should just, if you're referencing those sections.
If that's in the motion, okay.
Please note it's section 11-14, not section 11-4.
And I don't see it in any of the requests, actually.
11-3.
11-7B.
Yeah, it was in the, I think, the response to the
And is it the
standards.
zoning map amendment?
Yeah, the zoning map amendment, so on page
14.
4 of the staff report, it referenced in the second paragraph under zoning map amendment, it's 11 dash, it should be 11-14-3, if you want to be technical, F is the subpart. And then on the next page, on page 5 of 11 of the staff report, under variation, on the third line on the right-hand side, there's a reference to section 11-4-5, that should be to 11-14-5.
Thank you.
Okay. There were a couple conditions that will go into the, one of the motions, and I'm wondering if we need to add any further. There's final engineering approval and a light and photometric plan. Do we need to add anything that they have before they get the KDOT approval for ingress egress, or is that just part of the getting a building permit?
Yeah, I mean, the KDOT approval will just be through KDOT. I don't think there's anything that we need to reference in our motion. That's, again, that's under their jurisdiction, so it's, I don't think there's anything that.
Or the stormwater management approval? I just was curious, either of those rise to the level of needing to be?
Yeah, the stormwater management would be through the permitting process and final engineering.
Okay. All right. That's all I had. Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, if there are no further comments, I would begin with a motion. The requests begin with annexation, which I don't think is our jurisdiction, so we don't need to address that. Second request, the applicant's request for an amendment of the comprehensive plan from commercial retail service office to light industrial office research. I don't see any conditions on that, so I would move to approve that request, subject to the findings of fact and any recommendations from staff.
Evans, second.
Okay, Anna?
Mead,
Mead, aye.
Evans,
Evans, aye.
Holloman. Madaskil,
Madaskil, aye.
Moran.
Moran, aye.
All right, so carries. Commissioner Moran?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the applicant's zoning map amendment upon annexation of the proposed project site from RR Single Family Residential to I-1 Light Industrial. This would be pursuant to Section 11-14-3 of the Geneva zoning ordinance, subject to any findings of fact of city staff.
All right. Do I have a second?
Evans, second.
All right, Anna?
Mead,
Mead, aye.
Evans,
Evans, aye.
Holloman. Madaskil,
Madaskil, aye.
Moran.
Moran, aye.
All right. That motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve the applicant's motion or request for a variation from Section 11-7B-4 lot and area requirements to reduce the required street yard parking lot setback from 20 to 10 feet in accordance with Section 11-14-5 of the Geneva zoning ordinance, subject to city staff findings.
Thank you. And do I have a second?
Evans, second.
All right, Anna?
Mead,
Mead, aye.
Evans,
Evans, aye.
Holloman, Madaskil,
Madaskil, aye.
Moran,
Moran, aye.
All right, that motion carries.
And Mr. Chairman, one more motion, if I may. I would move to approve the applicant's site plan approval as set forth, pursuant to section 11-14A-10 of the zoning ordinance, subject to finding of facts of city staff.
And there are two conditions, I think, that we have to add there, right, for this one? On page 11.
Mr. Chairman, you can fill in those blanks for me.
Okay, sure. Subject to the findings of fact in the staff report and further subject to the two conditions listed in the staff report being final engineering shall be approved prior to the building permit issuance by the city. And number two, a revised lighting and photometric plan shall be approved prior to building permit issuance by the city.
That is my motion.
Evans, second.
All right. Anna?
Mead,
Mead, aye.
Evans,
Evans, aye.
Holloman, Madaskil,
Madaskil, aye.
Moran.
Moran, aye.
All right, that motion carries. Matt?
So these motions, due to the nature of the annexation, it requires a public hearing before the city council. So we will have to discuss kind of when we can get this to city council, and then we will update you guys once we have a meeting date that we can move forward with.
Chairman, Commissioners, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, that concludes the public hearing portion of tonight's meeting. Now move on to public comment. Would anybody care to make a comment at this time? Seeing none. Other business? Turn this over to Matt.
I just had one note. We will not have, or we do not have anything right now on schedule for the February 22nd Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. So I do not expect anything to come forward at this time. But the next meeting after that, we will look forward to the March meetings. I'll keep everyone updated as we approach those.
Okay. What's percolating?
We got a couple larger projects going on. We have the MIF site review going on. We have the 302 River PUD review going on. We have a Verizon Tower application on Randall review going on. And then we have another residential variation, and there should be another variation coming down the line soon as well.
Cool. All right. Anything else, or?
I don't know if it's appropriate to discuss this now, but Rebecca, I'd be curious as to why you voted nay on those two motions.
Just the use, I understand that the light industrial, it fits.
Thank you.
I would probably, since it's already been carried and the record's complete, obviously you can't discuss it.
No, I
but we
was
have
just curious.
Yeah, no. So you can be curious and you can ask her why she voted if you want to know personally. But once that's closed, that hearing's closed, that's the record. And in fact, the applicant has left, and I think to do more than that without them here would be inappropriate. So the record will go up to the city council as it is. The only other cautionary note I would say is you can have a conversation with her, but that would be the end of the conversation. You can't have a conversation amongst all of yourselves because of the Open Meetings Act. So that's the only additional thought I would have. So I would ask you to maybe postpone any discussion.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to provide a quick update too, that the Bullock campus that was considered at the last meeting in January is moving forward to the City Council on February 26th for consideration.
Awesome. Good. Thank you.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you.